Someone told me as soon as I click it, it goes online, but we'll see what happens. We'll see. Generally, I kind of know it
Hmm.
goes online. So we're live, everybody. If you're just tuning in right now, this is the Front Door Show brought to you by For Fantastic DJ Prieto. First of all, before we get to the guest today, I just want to say to everybody out there, thank you for the huge support. As you've seen, I posted that graph that we had. We already have 2 people, so that's cool. um, I posted that graph because uh, there's a delay of some sort and stuff like that. So what I do at this point is I kind of give. Okay, you can hear me, right, Eddie?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go into my. All right, I'm just setting up. All right, so
Okay.
just to get started and stuff like that, Eddie
Yes.
is my guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and everything for those people that don't know who you are per se.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are like, well, who is this Eddie Garcia? Who is this DJE? Where did he come from? Stuff like that. And watching all of the previous Front Door shows, I mean, my story has probably got to be total turn, total different from everybody's else. First of all, name's Eddie Garcia. And if anybody has heard me mix with you or you introduced me, you've always introduced me as DJ Eddie Garcia. Um, to shorten that down a little bit, went down to DJE, which is just basically Eddie, but I just went down to DJE. But backtracking, like just to backtrack all the way to the beginning, like you said, um, love for music started off back when I was little, 4th grade. Let's go all the way back to 4th grade. Little village, went to Robert Burns School. And I had an older sister. Well, I have an older sister. Okay. She was, when I was in 4th grade, she was in 8th grade. So a lot of her friends were already in the industry. We're getting into the music scene. We're DJing and stuff like that. So when she graduated, she had a party. And most of her friends were really cool with me and stuff like that. And come to find out, we had a party for her 8th grade graduation, and she invited her friends. And come to find out, the guys that came to DJ was a group of guys known as Midnight Fantasy Promotion, which was Mike Huerta, Richard, Noel PR Perez, some guy named Eddie, and I think another guy, I can't remember. It's such a long time ago. But they rolled
Mike,
around.
Mike, tell us. I'm saying Mike obviously will be online. He'll let us know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they rolled around with this huge pink DJ case. It was a pink coffin with the 12s in there and the mixer in there. And listening and watching the music, the vinyl coming out. The one I don't know which one it was, but I would sit where the crates were, and he had me pick each song out for him. So I would thumb through the records, and he's like, well, which one's next and which one's next, and I'd give him a record and he'd play the next one, and it drew my interest into the whole DJ thing. So between that, the involvement with listening to WCYC, the birth of BMX. I mean, everybody's heard this story time and time again. What
I haven't.
What gives it a nice turn, though, is that growing up in Little Village, surrounded by music, my mom always had a passion for music. That's another thing also, on all different genres, between Motown and soft rock to Juan Gabriel to some mariachis to Pimpinela. I mean, we could go on and on and on, and being exposed to all of this music was just the start of it. Once, like I said, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, getting up in there, listening to WCYC, Magic Wand, Harv Roman, and stuff like that. A couple of times I found myself at the Little Village, the Boys and Girls Club there. And the reason I was there was because my sister, again, my older sister, she was on the basketball team, and sometimes they would practice there. So I got to go with her. and I knew that was the house of WCYC. So while she was in the gym practicing with her teammates and stuff like that, I found my way up that stairwell, and I would peek into the studios, and I would see how everybody was doing their thing. And I got to learn the faces to the names of everybody that I heard over the air, be it the slow jam nights that they had. I think it was Sunday night. Friday night was the DJs coming up to mix. Pablo Gonzalez and all of those guys, you know, the Dominating Six, Gino Romo and stuff like that. I mean, all their mixes, their name drops and everything was just like in my head. So it was like almost like inspiration.
Okay.
So by eighth grade, I had saved up enough money. Okay. And believe it or not, my first turntable set, you're gonna laugh, was 2 sound design stereo systems side by side with the cheap ceramic cartridge. Okay. My dollar value allowed me to do some shopping at Coconuts and Rose Records, which they always had vinyl 3 for $10. So sometimes I got really lucky and found like either some freestyle or something that was close to house. So with that, I would put the 2 systems side by side and kind of taught myself the way I hooked up the speakers, you know, to go from one to the other, but playing with the volume knobs as the fader. Okay, so one would fade, one would come in, and you know, I'd be plugging in my headphones from one stereo system to the other. So that's how I learned, you know.
Right.
Until I met up with some friends and who had equipment in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And I was able to break away. And of course, in the basement, and you know, I saw these Technic 1200s and they were just like immaculate. They were like the diamond pieces of turntables, you know, and started more practice and stuff like that, and got pretty good at the art. So when it came down to high school, I went to Bogan High School on the South Side. I jumped on the radio station there. Now it was nothing there even close to WCYC. So it was 90.7 or something like that, WBHI, something WBHI. And the instructor that ran it, he ran it with a hard format of like rock music, country, real adult contemporary style music.
Right.
So when I got behind the mic, I had I had a friend with me. His name was Chris Schneider. We ended up tag teaming, and we're like, we need to get some listeners in this radio station. We need to flip the script. So in my head, I'm thinking WCYC, WB, man, we can make this happen. We can make this high school radio station something hot, you know? So, so we talked to the teacher who held it, who ran it. His name was Mr. Higgins.
Mario says at 88.7 or
that was high energy.
Right. And then it moved up to 90.5 or something like that.
Okay. It had to have been something like that. But when I was there, it was like 90 point something. And there was like 0 audience, man. It was horrible. Right. I mean, the students didn't even listen to the radio station. It was bad. So me and my buddy Chris, we're like, let's talk to him, you know, let's switch it up. Let's do something different. So I brought my vinyl, and we brought these house records, you know, the Farley Jack, the JM Silk, the, you know, everything. I mean, we brought a Fast Eddie, everything that hit it hard. So we started playing these records over the air, and from playing the records went to going into the next room and where they had the 2 turntables set up, to mixing, to, you know, to playing mixes and stuff like that, and to where we were able to have our own show. You know, he's like, okay, I think it was like 10th period or something like that. This is going to be your show. This is what you guys are going to do. You know, however they figure out the listener status at that time was going up. So we had people call in the studio. We had some artists that weren't even nobody yet coming there and dropping off records, freestyle records and stuff like that. That like, I know the girl, I don't remember the artist, the girl who sang the song I Want You, they stopped in there. And
Sandy?
Yeah, Sandy. And they said, can you give us some airtime on this? Right. And we're like, for sure, you know, on our show, hell yeah, you know. So it went to, you know, every day, you know, somewhere in between the show, we were playing these records, you know, and it became pretty hot. And next thing you know, I'm on Channel 5 being interviewed by Bob Surratt as a high school local talent, doing this live on air thing on Channel 5, and it just grew from there.
Right.
That's how I kind of
So the radio station kind of was
was
Marco
sore from it.
Hernandez. No, I'm saying Marco his name Payola. Okay. Funny, Marco, real funny. No, but so basically you were the radio station that wasn't CYC. You were the
No,
other radio station that
right.
was college radio station.
High school, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, so the listeners were they Northsiders, Southsiders, or what was kind of the
It was all
listenership?
Southsiders. It was all
Okay,
Southsiders, and
okay,
out of that, I had got to meet the young Louis Segura, the young Jesse de la Pena, because we all went to school. They were a grade above me, but I got to know who they were and their style of music and the birth of new wave and how all of that came into play, and then how all of those DJs, between him, Pablo Gonzalez, how the birth of that whole new wave era started,
okay.
with new wave and industrial and stuff like that, and then the house DJs, all the
Right.
common names on the house DJ side. So, but that was all the way up there up to high school. Now, after that, into the college level, I really got into it. Didn't have like master equipment and stuff like that, but I was hanging out at Hot Jams a lot, between Hot Jams and Gramophone Records. So I got to know who those Andrew and Andy
Welcome
Moy.
to the club.
So I mean,
Yeah.
after that, it was like any money I got in my pocket, it was like, here, bro, take my money. Here, bro, take my money. You look at the wall and it's
Yep.
like, here's all the new stuff. Okay, here's all the classics. Here's the used stuff. So
Right.
it just bounced back and forth from there. And I didn't do anything like club wise, because I didn't know that side of the industry yet. So what I was doing was like a lot of private
Right.
parties, um, local stuff, private events and stuff like that, and that was like just years, just maybe 4 or 5 years doing nothing, but just laying low, maybe a spot here, Bongo Johnny's, if anybody remembers that, on the south side. Another club,
Mhm.
McDuffie's, over on 111th, that used to be Eric South, I think, before that. And then the owner of that, he
Right.
opened up another club right down the street from 720. I think it was called Club 151, if I remember correctly. It was right on Ohio Street. So I think it
I
was called
believe
Club
so.
151, but it didn't last long. It was maybe a
Right.
year or two. It didn't go anywhere before somebody else bought it out, But
Well, but I remember going back, and not to interrupt your story, but go ahead.
mhm,
But I remember the commercials. He had those commercials. McDuffie's had those commercials
mhm,
on the radio.
right,
That
right,
was,
yeah.
I mean, like all the time, and it was like four clubs. He was always promoting or something, like one after
Right.
another. After it was like, and I just, and that's what I remember, the radio, and it wasn't even being. It might have been B96, but I
Mhm,
remember that McDuffie commercial always coming up, and it was like McDuffie's, da 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 da,
mhm,
like four little clubs going on. Oh,
right,
Eric's
right.
North. He also did Eric's North. That's what
Eric's
Marco was saying
North.
about.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so that was. I just remember it was just and that was the suburban clubs per
Yeah,
se.
yeah.
That
Everything was
was
south
the
side. Everything was local. That little rap place. I mean, it's still down here. There's a little dive called Groucho's that's still in existence. I think 3 owners later, but the name is still up
yeah.
there, and stuff like that. So everything was like basically this way. I didn't know nothing about the north side until the day came where I met Pablo Gonzalez. Now, not to get into too much details, I know I saw his thing yesterday, but
Right.
an important part of my break was I landed a job. I landed a job where I worked with Pablo. So, for the majority of the time when I was there, when I heard his name, first thing I said, as we walked down one of the hallways, I'm like, Pablo Punk Out Gonzalez. And he turned around and smiled at me and looked at me. And I said, yeah. He's like, and it was like, how do you know? And I'm like, that's you, right? And, that's what clicked off the friendship, and next thing you know, we're planning nights when he would DJ at Village Cafe, and he was DJing at Orbit, and he was hitting all these Northside clubs. And he's like, our hours worked late into the night. So he's like, bring a stack of records just in case. I'm gonna have my stuff, and then we're gonna drive up there. So I always drove. We headed up there. Once I had my car and everything, and we would go hit these gigs after work. It's like, ready, yeah. So he introduced me to everything North Side, and then all of those DJs up there. So and then if there was a spot open, hence reason have a set ready, he'd be like, hey, do you want to mix? 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. And of course, I'm going to jump on. I'm like, hell yeah, of course, for sure. So Pablo played a huge part of that, of introducing me into that. And then we found ourselves. Well, I found myself at the famous Infinity nightclub. Okay, so we're doing Infinity nightclub exactly, and
Right.
he introduced
But that
me.
was that when Leon and Lewis were doing it?
No,
Infinity?
no, it was when the birth of Viva Promotions kicked
Well,
off. Oh,
that's Leon and Lewis. That's
right, yeah.
the
Hmm.
promotions there. That's what, even Marco, because that I was working with Ruben Pasmino at the time, and
Hmm.
that was used to be called Saceros. Just for those people before it was called Infinity. It was
Hmm.
called Saceros first,
Hmm.
and then it became Infinity, became Andromedas, and then and that was the kind of the But I remember
Right,
Leon and Lewis were the ones in charge of the Viva promotions,
right, yeah.
basically.
And introduced me
So,
to a great bunch of guys. That's where I met Diablo and Dinamico, DJ Tally, every so often up in there. And so we were in that main part room of Infinity, where the DJ booth was like kind of in the back, like you went through a door and went through the back and stuff like that. And a couple of times I actually had the honor of mixing, with these guys, so still no name, no name me, but I'm coming in and, I had, the experience that I had from before, and I started mixing with these guys. And that's when, let me see, Andromedas, because Andromedas didn't open right away. It was just the main club part, and then they opened, because Andromedas was the big room. And that's where you came in. That's where I met you, because they were like, hey, who's in that? I would always ask, hey, who's in that room? And they said, oh, they're playing salsa over there, they're playing Latin music over there. And take a break, and I'd walk over there with Gracie. At the time, we were dating, and we would walk over there, and I mean, the music was just phenomenal. The salsa, and the way it was played, and the way you mixed it and stuff like that. And believe me, you were back there putting in work, because I would stand there and watch and get the dance floor going. And I remember asking Pablo, I'm like, hey, I go, who is that? Who's the guy back there DJing? And he goes, oh, that's DJ Prieto, and this and that, so just, I'm like, oh, okay, and then that's how I started, I was watching your style and listening to how you mixed Latin music. And it was just, to me, it was different, and I liked it. I liked the way it was put together. I liked the way it sounded on the dance floor. I liked the way the crowd reacted to it. See, and that was always a big thing with me when I would be at clubs, whether I was DJing or just having fun, is I would see how the crowd reacted to music. And then I would think to myself, how would I do that? Or how would I change that? Or if I was there, what would I do to bring that crowd out? So um, that's from there. Oh my God, let's see. I got a little bit tongue tied. I got carried away. From Andromedas and stuff like that. We where did we move to from there? I think it died down a little bit once the club closed down, because it did with Convent across the street. I remember our nights ended there, you know and at that time, are you glitching or am I glitching? Because it looks like you're freezing on my screen, Prieto. Let me see. I'll give him a minute. Let's see. I'll give him a minute. I know this is still going live, and he's probably like, "Still, go ahead, keep talking, keep talking." But until he gets back, let me see if I could get him back.
I'm back.
Oh, okay, there you are.
You know what? It was weird because it's happened once before, so I apologize for that.
Oh no,
Let
that's cool.
me. So we're still live and everything like that. So just sorry about that, guys. It seems that every so often, and you know what? It's Friday night.
Yeah.
Facebook is going through a lot of feeds and stuff like that. I hope you were talking. I can see because I told you I have both computers going on at the same time. So
Right.
I can see you guys. So I apologize for that. Wasn't ready for all this.
I'm sorry, it glitched out a little bit. Let's see. It freezes and then you come back.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay,
I'm
good.
here. So don't worry. So if it happens again, I'm here.
Okay. It just like I just wait to see, if I hear you or not. That's why.
Right. Go ahead.
So after Andromedas and all of that, just to fast forward a little bit, we had that little time gap. I was introduced by my wife to Adam Rock, and working with Adam Rock was phenomenal. I got to see. It seemed like my my networking with DJs just kept growing and growing even more, which was phenomenal to me, because now all these names that I heard on the radio, mixing on the radio, or their mixtapes, at between Hot Jams and Gramophone and stuff like that, everything was coming into play. So when I met Adam, he would take he invited me to mix with him over at a club called Studio 31, which was on Archer. I know it moved a couple of times. I can't remember exactly where it started and then where we ended. I think we ended at the last place. So he's like, hey, come on, get a set, and stuff like that. And come on and mix, and he would give me a time slot, and that's from 30 minutes, okay, hey, you're going to do a set for 30 minutes, and I'd go on and get the dance floor moving if it wasn't moving already, and from there the style and the way I mixed, he liked it, so he took a liking to me and stuff like that. So he asked me again, and introduced me to the club life there, and another Southside club called Xavier's, and then got to know a lot of the DJs that he DJ'd with, which was really cool. A guy named Lightning B, Real Fresh Ray, handful of others. Sorry if I don't remember everybody's name, but it was really good. And one thing I did miss, an important piece, which I'm going to rewind before I go forward, is this is where we had got cut off when after Andromedas and all of that, you started doing Tropicana de Caché on Tuesday nights, and you were doing Tuesday night fights. And we would always go to Tuesday nights, if you remember. Gracie and I would always be there, and you had the guys up there mixing and stuff like that. And before the fight started. You know, you had the music going, everything was great, you know. And I recall one time you said just bring one quick set before the fight start, and then my DJ's gonna come because I think he was running late or something. So I was like, all right, cool, you know. So it got there, you know, as the doors opened, you know, I got to do one quick set, you know, and then the fight started. Then the other guy came in because I think it was he would mix it up, you know, Latin music, whatever, during, you know, and then the ring girl would walk around, and then the fights would keep going. Um, from there, Palladium,
I brought Alex Perez, if I'm not mistaken. That was the guy that I had playing with
yeah,
me a couple of times. Alex
he, he,
Perez,
he was a
Dracula, DJ
regular
Dracula.
guy. Hmm.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
he was there.
and then Palladium opened up. You had got the doors to this massive room, Palladium. And I remember you talking about this before, and it was an open DJ night. And you had asked me, hey, you know, you want to come and mix? And I was like, really? And you're like, yeah, you know, I'm doing this thing. And you explained the whole thing to me. And you're like, you know, get this. I think it was a 30 minutes. Everybody had a 30-minute set or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I'm going to get, you know, line up with DJs. I'm going to set this up. And it's going to be this night and stuff like that. So working up to that night, you know, I'm working on this set, getting this set going. And I remember telling my wife that as I was practicing,
And we told you play whatever you wanted.
exactly.
It was
Exactly.
even though we were playing our format, we didn't
Mhm.
we wanted you guys to play whatever you guys wanted to play.
Right. And that was the dangerous thing when it came to me, because for me that just opened up the doors to everything. So
Right.
I remember practicing on this set for like 2 weeks. And like I said, I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna switch it up. I go, there everything was still more or less vinyl, but the birth of CDs started growing, you know, CDs were introduced. And I remember you saying you were gonna have turntables and CD players, or well, back then it wasn't really players, it was like one whole thing with the controller, if you remember. And and he said, I'm gonna have both, so whatever, you know, if you want to do one or the other, or you know, you guys do it. So I remember we got there, and you know, the DJs were showing up, and it was like, okay, I remember we were standing on stage, and I remember Dinamico being there because I've been in so many different places with him. I remember his name and his face already, you know, and I can't remember who else. I'm sure you know who was there, but I remember it was like, who's gonna DJ first? So you had all of these well-known DJs who has been on flyers and been in these clubs and stuff, and I'm standing there, and they all looked at me, and they're like, you're DJing first. So I'm like, okay, you know, doors just opened, you know, the doors just opened, the line was going down the stairs. I mean, you're still collecting the money at the door, you know. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I grabbed the first record and dropped it in, you know. And that set, I remember perfectly, and I wish there was video of it, but we didn't have cameras at the time. Is I went from classic house to hard house to progressive house, and then I jumped from vinyl to CD, and then from CD back to vinyl. And I remember ending the set, and I remember ending the set with Insomniac, with that song Insomniac, and then from there, if you Euro just barely started breaking out, but it sounded different. You know, it came out like a hard techno, you know, almost like techno. So I remember in the middle of the set, people were on the dance floor, and my achievement was when the guy who was working the lights in the room just like lit the whole room up. They saw the reaction of the crowd, and you had I believe 2 cages up there, and you had put dancers in each one. And when I saw you put your dancers in there, you know, I'm the first DJ and this place is already jumping, you know. I'm like, yes, you know. So by the time I was done, I played that last song and just soaked it all in, and I'm like, okay, this is what it's all about, you know. And after that, you know, every set that I've done, even working with Adam Rock and stuff like that, when I get behind the turntables, every set is for the crowd. I looked at it, and every set was about that. So taking all of that, Adam had offered me a radio show on an internet radio show called Lower Level Radio. So he's like, you're going to have Tuesday nights. It's going to be a freestyle show. Gave me the format and everything. He goes, are you good with that? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Let's do it. Radio was like my thing, I go, let's do it, So he would do his show. I think he had Sunday night or Saturday night. I can't remember. And I had Tuesday night. So my show was strictly all freestyle. So anything and everything was freestyle. So with that, of course, I was calling like Tim Schomer, reaching out to all these freestyle guys and getting, doing all my homework and stuff like that, make sure everything was broadcasted correctly. Any freestyle shows that were coming up, I was promoting them, off the thing. So me and Gracie were working back and forth. We were tag teaming this thing. So, of course, you had me, DJE, and then Gracie held the title of Lady Magic. So it was Lady Magic and DJE on, Lower Level Radio and stuff like that. And we did that for a long time and met a lot of good people, went to a couple of good concerts out of it. And it ran its course, and it finally came to the time to where it was over. So me and Adam had talked, and besides doing these little club, he was taking me to these little club events and stuff like that to do, to mix with them, which was a lot of fun. Came Chi-Town Music Radio. So we stayed on the air. We figured this whole thing out, and we were doing the Chi-Town Music Radio thing, and it worked out really good, And then again, it ran its course, and we ended up I don't want to say breaking apart. We ended up what we did was he kept Chi-Town Music Radio, which had a particular format to it, so it ran a certain way, the way the DJs would come in, do their sets and stuff like that. And what I did was I had separated from that format, and I created Chicago DJ Network. And the Birth of Chicago DJ Network came out, and what I was doing was I was all about exposure, guys that were coming into the business and stuff like that, DJs that were doing phenomenal things with music that nobody knew, nobody even heard about. They used it as hobbies that, I just wanted, to give them their dues, like the same way I was working my way up, you know what I mean? And I had got opportunity from guys like, you and Adam, and I'm going to keep going on the story because there's a lot more guys involved in this. And that's how Chicago DJ Network was created. And I had turned a radio station into a live stream video show like this. So DJs would come over basically to my apartment.
So you were doing live stream before live stream was
yes. I had between 2 and 3 cameras set up, so that way one was on me, one was on the equipment, and one was on the other DJ sometimes.
What year was this?
Oh my God, this was pre-2002, so I want to say 92. No, this had to have been, it had to have been right around 2002, somewhere around there, 2000, 2002. Yeah.
Amazing.
It was, and like I said, it went from listening to to watching it live. And I had, and I did it all the right way. I bought my license. I went through Live 365 when it was around before Congress shut it all down. So the royalties and everything was covered. It was a legit radio station.
Right.
So I would shoot out the link from Live 365, and then I would use stream services, video services to stream the video. So when people would watch the show, I would send the link for the radio station and then send the uplink for the video, but I had it so matched that there was no lag one or the other. So they were watching the DJs actually mix, live. And it was a lot of fun with that. Grew, I networked with a lot of DJs at, they had a WCYC reunion at this, it was before a Perception Lounge. I think it was called Crocodile Joe's in Berwyn or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I had went to that with the guys that I knew. And out of that, I met Johnny B. Good. I met George Soul Pimp. I met Rich Martinez, Victor Salazar, you know, started meeting all these guys, you know, that networked with Adam, that networked with other DJs, you know, and that were basically the whole birth of the CYC thing, you know. So just communicating and stuff like that. What I was doing was I was bringing them on the show. You know, hey, do you want to come out on, you know, on the show? Well, what is it about? And I would explain it to them. So yeah, sure, you know, let's make a thing out of it. So I would set up dates and flyers and stuff like that and promote it on MySpace back in the day and stuff like that. And we would, before they would mix, we would do this. I would do a one-on-one with them. So people were watching the cameras, and we do a nice little interview like this. And then right after the interview, it was like, okay.
Just to be sure, I
Uh-huh.
didn't know about this before this, so don't.
Right. No.
This is the first I'm hearing this, so sorry about it.
No. It's cool. It's cool. That's why I'm saying it's like my story is so different, because so many other DJs, I say, help me create who I am today, you know, including you, you know, because like I said, if it wasn't for these little breaks, you know, that you guys gave me an exposure into this, I don't think I would be where I'm at today, you know. But with, you know, and like I said, helping these guys out with Chicago DJ Network, I gave I brought in a couple of guys who were mixing that I met through guys like Johnny and Louis Aguirre and stuff like that. A guy by the name of Julio Hera, who's known as DJ Food 242. And I invited him. I go, hey, you want to be part of this network thing, you know, and do your thing, make some CDs, you know, get some exposure and stuff like that. He said, yeah, sure, why not? You know, it's a hobby, you know, it's a thing. Another guy who's got phenomenal talent, a guy by the name, his DJ name is DJ Weddle. You know, his name is Hector Madrid. You know, I mean, and the things he could work with music and remixes and stuff like that is phenomenal, you know, and just so much talent. And then I got real close with working together with George Salinas, which is Soul Pimp, you know. So between all four of us, you know, we're doing this thing and making this happen. And I was watching the viewers, because at that time when you had Live 365, you could actually see who's watching from where. So by the end of the show, I mean, we're like blowing up in Spain and Brazil and Japan and Australia. You know, we're getting all these hits and stuff like that. So it wasn't just local feeds and people out of Illinois watching this. I mean, we had global viewers, you know, who would give us feedback.
Just to be clear, not everybody had a computer that was on the internet in Chicago.
True that.
So you were way ahead of the game, per se, and the people that were live feeding the internet or knew about it. It was in its initial stages, I think, in 2000.
Right. It was just starting. I mean, the cameras weren't what they are today.
Right. There was no live feeds on Facebook per se. There wasn't even talk about live feeds. I think when it came to the business in 2002, and where you're talking about pre-Facebook, and you were way ahead of the game and stuff like that. And I could understand why it didn't blow up, because Facebook wasn't the marketing or the social aspect of it in 2002. It was, and I can understand that you're getting those people from Spain, Germany, London, and everything else that was happening, because those people were way ahead of it when it was the internet.
Right.
You know, hence, you know, I think the three social media things we had were MySpace, Asian Elements, Black Planet.
Right.
The three.
Some people still had web TV back in the day. Remember that?
Right. So that was, like I said, you were way ahead of it, and I could understand why it didn't take off big, because I think you came a little bit too early for the aspect of what is going on right now. So,
right. And it was just, believe me, it was just a test thing. And like I said, the challenge was actually finding the video streaming service to use, you know, to match one with the other and get these things going. And it wasn't easy, you know, because picture in picture wasn't a thing. If you wanted another video feed, you had to buy another camera, and then you had to buy another camera, and then you had to buy another. So it's like, you know, eventually you needed two computers and a laptop, you know. So it's like you had all this hardware just to broadcast one show, you know, just to make it
right.
look
And there was no software.
Exactly. Then none of this existed like this, you know.
Exactly. I applaud you for that, but that was.
Thank you. But to grow even further from that, in the middle of running all of this, I met two guys from Fearless House Radio, DJ Matt and DJ Oz, and they invited me to their show. So I got to go on their show and mix with Louis Segura, with Mario Smoking Diaz, with Johnny B. Good. They'd have all these, everybody had different sets. They would set up a really nice schedule, and they had really nice professional studio, like a real radio station. And it was always an honor going over there, and we'd always have like a nice little party afterwards and stuff like that. And the networking just kept growing after that. I started meeting even more DJs on like almost every site, every part of Chicago. I'm just, networking and making friends and, hitting events and stuff like that. And in between all of that, I never realized how busy I was still doing private events, still catching a wedding here and there and stuff like that. The time came when my wife had saw the equipment I was dealing with and said, you know what, this ain't gonna cut it, So we went equipment shopping, and we ended up at the store, and I'm looking around, and of course I see this really nice setup, mixer, turntables and stuff like that. Because I'll be honest, what I had was an old Gemini turntable. After the sound design stuff, my equipment consisted of the original Panasonic Techniques, the one with the little round pitch control.
Right.
Yeah. And Radio Shack Realistic Mixer. So when I phased records, it was because it was two different turntables and different needles. So she's like, I saw something that I liked, and she's like, do you want that? And I'm like, yeah, okay, right. And she's like, nah, seriously, if we're gonna make this work into a business where we're doing weddings and cotillions and stuff like that, this is it. We got to make it work, and
invest into the business per se.
Right, exactly. And right then and there, she just like surprised me and got me the equipment, and I was her investment, and the speakers and everything, the amps, everything. And next thing you know, we were doing full-blown professional services, and went out and had business cards made and stuff like that, and really made it official. So during that time, I was between the radio station and doing private events. So I wasn't, really doing too much of the club thing anymore. And but when I got called, I went. I was there, and sure enough, just as things started quieting down, you had called me, and you said, hey, hey Eddie. He goes, you asked me, hey, are you still DJing? And I'm like, yeah, for sure, man. And you're like, I'm gonna need your help for something. And I'm like, okay. And I remember this because this is like the best story in the world. You're like, I need you to do a 2-hour house set. You're like, can you do it? And I'm like, yeah, for sure, man. I could do that, 2-hour house set, classic house. And you're like, okay, I need you at the Martini Club at this time on this day. So I was like, all right, cool, bet, let's do it. So the day came, went over to Martini Club over on Central and Belmont, something like that.
Correct.
Went up there, and as always, you were there at the door and running around doing your thing. And things were CDs already. There was no more vinyl and stuff like that, so it made it a lot easier to carry in.
So let's break this down.
Uh-huh.
So before anybody says anything, this is what it got. So the event was actually Kenny Jam Jason, me, Julian Jumper Perez, and me together.
Right.
We decided to do a Thursday night there, and it was a house. And I remember what the concept was, because they had a Polish night. It was a Polish club at the time.
Right.
And it was but this is before it was Latin. It was a Polish club, and I remember that's where we did a Thursday night, and that was where I called you up, because I said, okay, and I think I got talked to Kenny and Julian about it. Mm-hmm. And I think all three of us were like, yeah, well, let's get Eddie. I think that was the whole thing. So I said, I'll call him up and stuff like that. So mm-hmm. But I remember that was what it was. And I think there was different rooms in there.
Yeah. There were 3 different rooms.
So mm-hmm. we were looking at, obviously Kenny and Julian, more in the main room per se
Right.
and stuff like that. And then we needed some people in the other rooms per se and stuff like that. And we
Hmm.
were looking at different styles of house music per se in different rooms, or different, freestyle here, house music there.
Right.
That and I remember that's so when you said Martini, I was like, well, that was Martini. That had to been about almost 8 years ago, I think
At
it was.
least.
At
Yeah.
least in 2012, I believe it was like, and it was maybe even further than that, maybe 2010. But I remember that's what that was our phone call that we had with
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
So,
But you didn't tell me, and this was the kicker for me. Okay, you said I was mixing, so when I get there, um places, everything's going. It was early in the night. I was always early. You're always like, get here early, get here at this time. So I was always there. And the place was just, it was just coming in, people at the bar. It didn't hit peak or anything yet. So you're like, hey, and it was the main room, and you're like, hey, go up there and start playing. So I was like, all right, cool. So I got up there and got through the first hour. So at the end of the first hour, going into the second hour, that's when I look up and you're walking with Kenny. And I'm like, damn, that's Kenny Jam and Jason. So from what turned into a confidence, smooth feeling, now I'm starting to get a little shaky, hands are shaking a little bit, getting a little hot in there, you know. I had some family in there. Gracie was there and everything. And he starts walking towards the stage, and that place was phenomenal, with the backdrop and the screen going and stuff like that. And he comes up the stairs and he puts down his equipment. And okay, so now I'm like jittering, and I'm like, playing my second hour, into my second hour set. And he's standing over my shoulder, and it was incredible. He's standing over my shoulder and he's singing every song that I'm playing, and he's watching how I'm mixing. Now you want to talk about just nerve wracking? Okay, here's legendary Kenny Jam and Jason right behind me, watching me mix, into my second set. Here comes Gracie with the shot of tequila. She's like, here, calm down. Calm down. I know what you're doing here. Calm down. So I got through that set, but the outcome out of that, and again, I mean, to you, out of that, I gained a friendship with Kenny Jason, and both you guys out of that gave me the opportunity to mix with you guys. It's like you brought me aboard, and I was doing Willowbrook Ballroom with you. We did Illuminati for a little bit while it lasted, which was the hip hop place.
right.
I got to do one fill in at Vintage when you were at Vintage, which was a cool little bar. I like that place.
Right.
It had awesome bartender, man, great drinks. And just it was like we're rolling back. And then I got to do like what I consider a dream set at a Club 720 before it had shut down. And it had started off, you're like, go set up upstairs, on I think the second floor or something like that. So I was setting up, and then you went up there and you looked around, and you're like, no, come back downstairs. And I went downstairs where the entrance is there, where the people come in through. And I played a set on that main floor. And again, I played a set right before Kenny went on, so I did a set
Right.
there, and then just had the place going and stuff like that. And then our one night, our one haunted night over at Green Dolphin, which canceled their land. If you remember that, we're not going to talk about that though. But that was the night Kenny taught me how to play on a controller, because when you're like, all right, go ahead, go play, I grabbed my CDs, and Kenny grabbed my CDs, and he goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm going to go play. And he goes, no, he goes, play on that. And I said, play on what? And he pointed towards his equipment, to his controller and his laptop and that. And I go, you serious? And he goes, yeah. He goes, he looked at me like, you're a DJ, right? So here I go. And I played a little bit on Kenny's stuff. And that's where I got to learn the ins and outs of the controller. And I liked it to where he's like, you need to upgrade this, get yourself a laptop, and something that you like. And that's how it started. And, I was rolling with
Welcome
you.
to the digital age.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, here, get rid of the CDs, man. This is what we're doing now. This is what we're doing.
Well,
But again, more opportunity.
well, just to interject, remember you're saying this. Since you were there at Tuesday Night Boxing, do you remember how many CD books I had? Because there was no laptops.
You had like 2 crates filled with CD books.
No, two duffel bags, like 8 heads in the duffel bag. So
Yes,
I
yes,
had
I
in
do
each
remember.
duffel bag 6. So it was a
Hmm.
total of 12.
Hmm.
And if you remember, if nobody's that remembers the DJ booth who wasn't up there, but there was a door that would open up, and there's the CD players and the mixer, the CD players, the Pioneer CD players,
Hmm.
and you insert them. But I had 6 books on one side of the door and 6 books on the other side of the door. 6 books. Each book had a different style of music. There was
Uh-huh.
reggaeton, there was hip hop, there was bachata, there
Right.
was house music, there was rap music, there
Uh-huh.
was alternative, there was rancheras and norteñas and stuff like that. There was
Hmm.
cumbias. Every book. Technically, what we use on our laptop,
Right.
the files that we break up, that's what I had. So I was and I was a madman trying to find a song because I
Yeah.
would, and it was just crazy because I would have to run to the book,
Hmm.
get the CD, run back, and plug it in. And so that's what I said. So trust me,
Yeah.
converting from CD to digital.
You
Oh
get
my
spoiled.
God!
Yeah, it's like a godsend. It is. It's if you still know what you're doing and you still have your talent, you're gonna do what you do, no matter what,
Right,
you know.
right,
But
right.
like I said, rolling with you guys, and then out of Kenny, he introduced me to Joe Cool Rodriguez. You know Joe,
Yep, yep.
and Joe saw me mix. We were all at a um, Tequila Roadhouse or something like that in Brookfield. We had
Okay.
did a party over there, and I think that's the first time Joe heard me mix, if I'm correct. I can't remember. And Boogie Down Benny was there, and a couple of other guys. And I want to say that's the night that where I met Joe, and Joe heard me mix, and he liked what he heard, and we had sat down and talked and stuff like that. And I did. He invited me. Him and Kenny invited me to mix with them a couple more times, and that's when we were doing Willowbrook a little bit more. And Kenny had his party there, if you remember, downstairs in the basement, and DJ Val and Pablo and everybody was there, and it was a great time. And
It was his birthday party, right, or something
yeah, it
like
was
that.
his birthday party. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
It
Yes.
was a really good time, and through that, just networked really hard. And Joe took me under his wing and invited me to be a street player. That was like the crew that he had. And of course, I'm say, yeah, of course, and with that landed a residency at Perception Lounge.
Right.
So I was doing a residency with him, Kenny, DJ Soulflow, over there, and just again learning, watching what these guys doing, and what the big thing with me was is I would as the DJs would do their sets, I would listen to what other DJs would play. So that way when it came up to me, if I had to switch something up, I was going to switch it on the fly right there. Or if I was doing something that wasn't moving the crowd, I was going to switch it up right away. And that's always been my thing. And when I was residencing at Perception Nightclub, the owners, Mary and Carlos, took note of that, because if the floor would start dying down, I'd switch it up one way, or switch it up another way, or Joe would take over, or Kenny. We always worked as a team, and that's what always had the place. I mean, just phenomenal, and Joe would do his thing and really good on the mic and just a great guy, and like I said, it went through there. I think I did that for just over 2 years residence, and then after that, I was just doing guest spots and stuff like that. Or so, Mary would call me and, hey, are you working this weekend, or do you got some availability? Let me know and stuff like that. And if the calendar was clear, I'd be like, yeah, sure, and I'd jump on a couple of days, or a couple of weekends, or do a weekend or something like that. Come in and mix with them. But again, just the networking family, being able to work with all these guys and gaining friendships and becoming a family with, guys like you and Louis Segura and Johnny B. Good, Kenny Jason, Mario Reyes, oh my God, I almost said his real name, Mario Smoking Diaz, Tim Schomer, Scott Sills, and all these guys. Even took it to the next level when Kenny invited me out to mix at the 35th annual Hot Mix 5 reunion at McCormick Place. So that was like huge for me. And I got to mix on Kenny's stage for that, and just the lineup of DJs in every room was phenomenal. I think you were there. I think you
No,
showed up.
I could, because, and that happened, what, about 3 years ago, was it?
Yeah, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, something like
Okay,
that.
yeah, I remember that's when I was in the height of doing, Friday and Saturday. I think I was doing 5 nights a week. So
Hmm.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday was like, and even Sunday. So I
Okay.
remember I was trying to make it go. And I think I told Mario, I said, yeah, I'm gonna try to make it, try to make. So I remember, I think that it was a Saturday night, and I was
Hmm.
stuck at Dylan's, and I think we had a live band or something
Oh,
like that.
okay.
So it was, and I wanted to go. Trust me, I like go. And more than likely, it was. I usually set it up that I can go to these events because I can, like even with Rich Morales with his old school event that he did.
Hmm.
I always set up with the guys, and I have a great group of guys that'll do it together. But I
Right.
think that particular night I had planned to go,
Hmm.
and there was some problems with the audio or some problems. So when that happens, I'm committed to fixing a problem,
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
can't leave.
Right.
It's just unfortunate. And I remember, and I'm hearing, I hear the stories afterwards,
Right, right.
the good and the bads,
Right, right.
and
But
I was like, but I wasn't there. I wish I was there, but I couldn't make it. I remember between Kenny, Mario, Farley, telling me, you're gonna go. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna go. Of course I'm gonna go. And I couldn't make it. And I was like, but I was stuck. I was stuck to prior commitment. But
mhm.
yeah, I heard that you were there as well. So,
Yeah,
that
and
was,
it was just a phenomenal time, and to be able to work events like that, including I got invited to DJ with they're called These Guys, which is DJ Triple H and DJ Crank. They do some freestyle events and stuff like that. Had invited me out up north to the north suburbs to mix with them and a couple of other guys. Before the concert, they had Little Susie, Angel, and Lisette Melendez there that night. So, just to do events like that and then bring it back to Chicago. And I was invited to mix the hallway. Well, the way they had it set it up at Congress, it was a freestyle event, and I think it was White Nights. It was his event, and there was DJs on the inside. DJs. It was like he had setups everywhere.
right, right, right.
So I was where the people were coming in, and paying their money, and before they went upstairs to the main hall and stuff, I was right there, and just throwing them music, left and right, as they came in. So, any opportunity, I was there to grab it, be it the first DJ playing or the last DJ closing the night. It didn't matter to me because what I was gonna play, I felt I just wanted to give the people something they wanted to hear at the time. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's always been my thing. And I never just sat back and said, hey, I'm going to play this whether you like it or not. It's like,
Now,
I'm going to give the crowd what they want. And then
well, I
just
think I think I speak for all the DJs that are online right now. And DJs is
Mhm,
one of the things that I can honestly say that we've all agreed, and this is probably something I'm going to say, that you are probably one of the most humble guys that we know.
thank
And they're going to probably like and do all this stuff, and they're going to agree with me. But because in this business, I can honestly tell you, there's people that have you know, chips on their shoulders, or they think they're bigger than what you call it.
you.
And one of the things that, if us guys, especially, and let's put it, there's people that are promoters, and there's people that are DJs, and there's people that wear many hats in this business.
Mhm.
But if there's a guy to count on to say, hey, we need you at 9 o'clock, some guy's not walking in at 9:05, and like, oh, where do I set up at? And something. You're there at 8:35 and said, I'm here, ready,
Right.
you're prepared and stuff like that. So
Uh-huh.
you have you have basically a great work ethic when it comes to the business,
Right. Right.
because like,
Thank
there's a lot of guys that I could tell you right now that I've hired, and they don't show up on time, or they're running late. They oh well, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, it's snowing outside, that's why I'm late. No man, it's snowing outside, and you got to prepare for your time to get here and stuff like that.
you.
I'm here on time. I gotta be. If I come up with an excuse, I wouldn't be in business and stuff like that. So
Right.
honestly, I think that's Pablo Gonzalez said the same thing. He says, true.
Uh-huh.
You were one of the most humble guys and stuff like that.
Mhm.
In saying so, this also, and this is another factor, is you're a first responder as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody knows that and stuff like that. So, thank you for your service and thank you for, what's going on through this whole course and stuff like that. I see you online and you're at work and still doing what you're doing and stuff like that. You're out there working for us as well, doing what you do.
Hmm.
And so I thank you for that as well, and I'm sure everybody else says it the same thing. You're important in this line of work, and that what's happening and what's happening right now.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah. Things have definitely gotten challenging since this kicked off. Believe me.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's what you call it. So I mean, and so that comes up to the present, right? That comes up
Yeah.
to the present right now.
Yeah.
So with this whole live streaming going on, so I want to say, because of your experience in live streaming,
Hmm.
and now that we have so much going on with this whole situation,
Hmm.
and we got about 5 minutes left, so I want to concentrate with you because that was interesting. I didn't know that about you, and I'm
Mhm.
sure a lot of people didn't know your history of the live streaming.
Hmm.
What do you feel about this whole thing about, because there's a big, there's the good and bad, and there's pros and cons of live streaming right now.
Right.
And I know that's you mentioned about going through legally and stuff like that. So what do you think about this? Is there any advice you can say to people out there in the Facebook world that's trying to live stream and trying to go to Twitch and go to, try these YouTube, and, is there anything you can add or say about it?
Yeah. There's different ways of doing and broadcasting that's not going to be that expensive. That's not going to hurt your wallet. I mean, if you go the direct route, it's going to be very expensive because to stream video and audio at the same time. What stops us is the royalty thing. That's like the big thing. That's what stops everything. That everybody wants to get paid. Everybody wants their money. And this is the big legal dispute we went through when I was with Live 365. And you had your monthly subscription. You paid whatever you had, and stuff like that. And you could play whatever you want. And everything was covered. Congress had got involved. I'm sorry, but Congress had got involved with some of that stuff, and changed all the rules and changed all the laws, and that's what killed it for us, and that's what ended it for us. They still try working on stuff back and forth, but it's not the same. It's very limited. It's not as drawn out. My advice for all the guys who want to live stream out there, you could take your chance on Facebook. You might sneak through the cracks because there's so many guys, like you said, doing it. They're not able to monitor just everybody, so there might be a night where you could DJ 3-4 hours and then you go back on again and it's only going to be like 30 minutes, before they catch you. But I would say do some research. I've been doing some research back and forth. That's why I haven't done nothing here in the studio live at all, because I don't want to be the one, to get cut off like that either, because I'm not used to that. I know there's I was watching Claudio from Anything Box, how he does his stuff, and he plays his tracks and stuff like that. So he uses like OBS software. There's a couple of other different platforms that you could buy that you could tie in, and then tie in your audio either on a separate stream, or look into something like Sam Broadcaster. That's a really good software, and you're able to subscribe to a service. I mean, really, the only thing, if you really don't want to get cut off and take this seriously, is a monthly subscription, but something that's not going to hurt your pocket. And don't think that a lot of it's really expensive. If you do your research, it's not going to cost that much. But I know when I was streaming, I used Kenny introduced me to a software called Sam Broadcaster, and believe me, it was worth every penny of it. And you're streaming, you never got cut off. You got all your ratings, where your listeners were coming from. You got to tie in everything. You were able to video stream and stream your audio at the same time. So I would say just take a moment and do some research. If not, reach out to some of these software companies or these broadcasting companies and see how it works, because at the end you will be able to do it, because this is going to be a thing. Believe me, I know some developers that are working on stuff like this right now. There's I know some IT guys that are working on stuff like this right now. So I would say within the next 2 years, this is going to be a common thing, and it's going to be covered completely. So, hang in there for that. But if you want to do it now because of this, hopefully quarantine thing that's going to be ending soon, I would say it's free software. Look for all the free software you can and just take advantage. Some of these places do offer 2 months free, 3 months free, stuff like that. And just look into it and do it, And
I mean, but I'm gathering that just streaming on Facebook Live isn't the answer. Is
no,
that what? No, that's what.
no.
And I think that's where I'm. And I think the guys that are doing it on Facebook Live are
Mhm.
going to hurt it for everybody else per se. And I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody. Trust me,
No,
live stream.
not at all.
No,
Not
no,
at
no.
all.
But I know I'm starting to see what have people posting. They got blocked. They got blocked. They blocked.
Mhm.
And
Right.
once Facebook figures it out,
Mhm.
it's gonna stop for everybody. Facebook streaming,
Yeah, they'll
without.
put the limitations. Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
right. It's almost like what happened in the mixed tape and CD business. Like kind of all of a sudden here comes the Recording Industry Association of America jumping on to that guy, to that guy, to that
Right.
guy, and
Yeah.
it was a domino effect per se. And I get, and it's all about the royalties, copyrights,
Right.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And and I'm sure there's I wish there was an expert and everybody would say, hey, this is the expert. We're
Mhm.
listening to a lot of people online that
Mhm.
basically on Facebook, oh, do it this way, do it that way. Here's a YouTube of how to do it and stuff like that. But because I figure you've done it long time ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
you have
That's how I did
the,
it.
and
Mhm.
and I would talk about like I did the mixtape and CD business a long time ago.
Right.
And then, and people learned from what I did and how it didn't work per se. And then, then there was the legal aspect of it. And I remember Bad Boy Bill doing a legal mixtape and stuff like that. And there
Mhm.
was, and he was in Kmart and all that stuff. And he was like, it's very, very, very big for him. It went worldwide and stuff like that. So, I mean, so if there's anybody that has advice, I figure are the guy that would, and I'm glad to hear that there's IT guys that are doing it. And so I think this is going to be the thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
You
is.
know,
This is going to be
it's
the future of broadcasting, and don't let it
right.
surprise you if in 10 years when you go buy your stereo receiver, if they're still around, they're not going to come equipped with the monitor, or most of your stereo systems are going to look like tablets, to
Right.
where you can see your on-air personality instead of just listening to them. There's gonna be a little video screen where you're gonna be able to watch them too. So when they have on-air guests and hosts, big name talent, you're
You
gonna be
mean
able
like on the watch where
to.
you could watch everything?
I already have one. Well, you can watch TV, but yeah, technology is my thing, man. It's my weakness. Expensive hobby.
Cool, very cool. All right, is there any last words you want to say to anybody? Because the hour quick. I
Yeah,
tell
yeah, I
everybody the
see
hour
that.
goes by.
Yeah.
It goes by quick. I know that.
Um, just you know what, coming from me and all the guys that worked with me, and involvement anywhere from lower level radio to Chi-Town Music Radio to Chicago DJ Network, all you main guys, I'm saying thank you to you guys for giving me the exposure and the chance and stuff like that, to work with you guys, because from listening to you guys on the radio, and you all know who you are, between you, Angelo, Pablo, Adam, Kenny, Mario. I mean, I could go down the line, a handful of guys, and guys that are still close to me, and, stuff like that, guys that I work with. I've always had my door open to everybody. Everybody knows who's been in the studio that Gracie feeds you very, very well, because when the guys would come in and get interviewed
Yeah.
and do their set, when they were done with their set, here comes Gracie with a big plate of nachos and tacos carne asada. By the time they were done, they were on my couch sleeping, bro.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it was awesome. It was always a good time, and I've always had my door open to everybody.
Yes, you have. Yes, you
My
have.
friendship with
You and Gracie. Yes, I know that. And shouts out, your daughter as well, because I know your whole family. So thank you for.
yes,
Thank
she
you
was
for.
a baby. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I know that, yeah, the hospital. So that's part of it. I gotta say that's part
Mhm.
of the hospitality that you've shown to everybody and stuff like that. You open your house to all of us and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
one of the key differences between you and some other DJs that are out there. Nothing that they didn't do it. I mean, nothing that they wouldn't do it. It's just you've done it all the time
Right.
to
Right.
everybody and stuff like that. So I gotta
Right.
say that was, I compliment you and your family and Gracie and you have done that to me.
Right.
thousands of times, coming to my birthday, coming to funerals, coming to, everything that I've done in my life and stuff like that.
Right.
Always a surprise to see you and stuff like that. And thank you for, showing up to my mom's wake and stuff like that. So
Oh,
thank you,
mhm,
that was, and bless you guys and everybody's healthy and thank God for that and stuff
mhm.
like that.
And
So,
just real quick, working up to date now. I'm just saying that I know a lot of DJs. We all have our genres, we all have our things. And one thing that I broke into, which is brand new, is all this new sound, this new electronic dance, this new dubstep, all of this. And you got to give it a chance. I'm just saying, or if you know anybody that's young that's breaking into it, encourage them, give them what they need, push them forward with the software, have them create, design, remix, do their thing. I'll tell you what, I got into the whole young thing now, just brought in real quick, brought in everything real quick. Went to Ranex concert. He's a young guy out of Canada who's done his thing on my part time. With Martin Garrix, Zed, Odessa, names like that. Big names on the stage. I know when they're on stage, it's just like, oh, they throw a flash drive in and they do their thing. But behind the scenes, the production part of it is not easy, and it's their thing. It's just like us. It's our passion, and it's going to be the future sound for everybody after us. So all of us veteran DJs, you're out there, you're doing your thing. All these young cats, I'm gonna tell you what, their sound is totally different, and they're grabbing our sound and mixing it in with theirs, and it's something great. So, I'm just saying, encourage them, man. Just throw it out there. Just have them do their thing the way we did ours. You
all
know.
right. In closing, I just wanted to say something.
Mhm.
After the interview yesterday with Pablo, uh, just to let you know, Pablo and I talked about it. So there's more that Pablo's going to talk to me. So we're going to have a second interview with Pablo as well, because there's a lot of stuff that Pablo and didn't get covered and stuff like that. So I'm just letting you know that Pablo's going to be on a second interview.
Oh, sweet.
I'm
Looking
also going to be interviewing Al Cisneros from just to let everybody know and stuff like that. On Cinco de Mayo, I'm interviewing White Knight. So
Okay.
just so that you know as well, I'm doing it. I'm doing a couple of different with White Knight. I'm doing it at 5 o'clock instead of I'm still doing Mike Huerta. I'm
Okay.
still going to have him at 8 o'clock, but
Mhm.
I'm doing a artist interview. And if you don't know, that White Knight never was a DJ. He was always, he was a artist per se, and he was a promoter.
Right. Right.
So different than that. I'm doing it. And then with Al Cisneros, we're going to come up with different dates. I don't know if you know, he works at he works a night shift. So we're just going to work out on time and where we're going to interview him as well.
Okay.
And probably going to have part 1 and part 2 with Al as well, because there's a lot of history
Yes.
with Al.
Definitely.
I'm going to see about Tony Batoy, try to get him on here. And there's probably going to be a part 1, part 2, and part 3 with Tony. Part 1, part 2, and part 3 with Pablo, and part 1, 2, and 3 with Al Cisneros as well. Or, so we're going to be talking to different people. I thank everybody for the support that you've shown. As you see, this has grown really big.
Yes.
Everybody loves the format, what I'm doing here, and I'm really hoping to take this to another level. So don't go anywhere, Eddie.
Okay.
I'm going to sign off, guys. Thank you. This is the Front Door Show. As I tell everybody that there's going to be the replay after this, and I posted up on YouTube on an archive file. So this will always be archived. So this will be history. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Eddie.
Everybody.